All right, we can call this meeting, this April 2024 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, City of Burlington, to order. Can we do a roll call, please?
Sure. Chair Pennington.
Here.
Vice Chair Van Westbuehler is absent. Member Hess. Member
Call
Hess.
me, yes, present.
Member Geis.
Here.
Member Benson.
Present.
And members King and Williams are also absent. We do have a quorum though.
So the absent members each requested an excused absence. Can I have a motion to approve the requests for excused?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We have to approve the minutes from the last two meetings. So in your meeting packet are the minutes of the February and March 2024 meetings. Are there any recommended revisions or other changes? I caught one thing, Bree, which is just a quick fix, I think, and I think it's last month's meeting. There's a quoting Commissioner Benson, it's written that Burlington has a 22.3% African population, and it should say African American.
Didn't catch that. Good one.
Okay.
Anything else?
Do
Can
we
I?
want to make the same change on, I can't read the page numbers, on the first paragraph, where you talked about after the comprehensive community preservation, the next page where it starts off, Ms. Benson, stated there were a lot of intersections with underserved communities and gentrification issues. Ms. Benson stated it gave examples of traditional Black neighborhoods. Do we want to change that to African American?
I think I wouldn't recommend that change.
I
But I
don't
think
know that
that's
that
okay.
matters.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Hopefully it's,
And I do have one change under my own quote, under the tax credits. That I stated the 5-year rule to use funds is correct. I stated that the projects we were currently doing were not using tax credits because of that rule, but we were just paying out of pocket. It's kind of a minor, but it said decided not to start a project. Now we are just about finished with our project, so. But we knew that going into it.
Any other comments? Corrections? Okay.
All right. Are there any applications for major COAs this month? Oh, of course. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February and March?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I can second.
Benson seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions?
Okay. No major COAs tonight to discuss. Next on the agenda would be the Lime Tree Pine Awards discussion. So typically, we like to coincide the awarding of the Lime Tree Pines Awards with Preservation Month, which is June. And May, excuse me. And so for those who have not been involved in this process before, we have different projects that we talk about, and the commission makes a decision in terms of who they want to recommend. Then we typically see those projects in for a more formal recognition by the HPC, and then they will also go in front of the city council for recognition and awarding the Marjorie Klein plaque. So I received a couple nominations by Wendy, and those were included in the packet. And haven't received anything else as of yet. Do you want to, Chair, do you want to go through those properties or see if anybody else has any ones to add?
Yeah, why don't we start with any additions to the slate of candidates that we're looking at now? Are there any other properties anyone would want to recommend? And these are found on page 13 of the
That's what I was
agenda.
looking for here.
The packet, I think.
You should see them. Are you able to see the screen?
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
can.
In front of you? Okay.
We're not used to all this lecturing.
I know. We're getting used to it too.
Yeah.
I'm surprised May Hosiery doesn't already have such
They
a
do.
designation. They do.
They do, yeah, that one, that
Okay, we
one.
looked into it.
Yeah, that one I think was approved in 2020.
Yeah.
Is anyone familiar with, I just haven't had time to do research on the bank building where they put the new D&L Martini bar and then they took over the restaurant 2 doors down from there? Do you know where I'm talking about? Just around the corner from here?
Yeah, that was,
Was that a significant renovation or, I'm just not familiar with the timeline on that and who did it, but it is a commercial property and it seems like if we're looking for a good commercial designation that they would put some real effort into that one, but.
so that is do you guys all recall where Sundries was? It's on that same
Yeah.
block,
Yeah.
just,
About halfway down that
about
block.
halfway down, and it was a bank, I don't know the history
It's
of.
D&J, I can look up the address if you need it.
The renovation was done under previous tenant or owner, and it was called something else, but it was a bar.
It's 418 South Spring Street.
New restaurant.
There is a new restaurant on the corner there, and then the same owners run the cocktail bar and grill kind of thing. So they actually use the restaurant on the corner to serve food at both locations, I think. But they are tenants from what she told me. So it was probably would have been the owner of the building that oversaw the renovations. So I apologize, I just haven't had time to really research that one, but it seemed like they might be a good nominee.
Yeah, it's beautiful inside.
It really is pretty. They've done a great job with keeping the Art Deco.
I think, remind me again, I thought we were talking about this earlier, the award is supposed to go to exterior restoration?
And so I think there was some exterior facade stuff done, but and that I don't know. If the award is completely and solely exterior, I think they've made the exterior look nice, but they've also spent some significant, money, I think, making the interior stay true to the era of the building.
I know that, gosh, I don't think that there's any specific guidelines that I could find, and I can continue to research, but I know that when we have received the nominations in the past, we have always looked at interior renovations too, as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know with Sundries, they had done a significant rehab to make it more of a general store look. I remember when we had the Red Cross building, the property owner or the leasee provided us with pictures of the renovation that was done inside as well. More often than not, I think we have seen interior and exterior renovations. I don't know that we can't consider interior. Because many of these commercial projects are outside of the local historic district anyway, which obviously you know that you guys don't consider the interior, but I don't know that can disqualify it.
Oh, no, I was just, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was more of a curb appeal to better, for some reason I had that from last year's meeting, that it was focusing a lot on the exterior, but interior was also considered.
It's a relatively small facade because it's right there in the middle of the block. It's right next door to that Blanchard's building, you know what I'm talking about with it?
I can try to pull up some aerials for those who aren't familiar with the sites, if you'd like.
That actually might be helpful, for the
Typically,
residential ones
it's,
as well.
Residential and commercial.
Mhm.
I think it all depends on the number of applicants, that have been nominated. At the max, I think at one time we have done 3. I can't remember doing more than that, because we had to purchase the plaques. But it's nice to have a number of nominations. That means people are doing great work.
Great view anymore for some reason.
So, while I'm trying to fool with this, any other properties you wanna discuss? So that's the building there. And it's a really, really Art Deco inside.
Mhm.
Is the bar and the restaurant separate?
The restaurant is down the street, so the restaurant opened separately,
Okay, I see.
and, I think they were originally in Medon, because I know I had visited.
They were,
there.
yeah. The restaurant was, but I think they had a different tenant. I mean, they're a tenant in both locations, so
Yep.
I don't think that it was the restaurant owner that did at least the facade renovations. They might have done more of the interior.
Let's see if there's any pictures on there.
So it's possible that there's been one owner of the building through these multiple tenants.
Yeah, I could do a quick search of the GIS.
And it's possible that either the owner or the previous tenant did these renovations.
Right. Right. I think that it was 418 something, that was the name of the
Yes.
previous.
Yes, yes. Something like that, it was a number.
I'm not seeing great pictures, they don't do a good PR for themselves, I guess, but.
Yeah, on the Google Pics, I'm mostly seeing close-up pictures of their food and their drinks and their menu.
Are you able to see their
Not so much the
Instagram
interior.
account?
Everybody probably knows this but me, but what is tapas? I know what a martini is.
Small plates, it's like small plates, little appetizers.
Okay.
I think it's a Spanish word.
Is it D&J or Dick and James
When it was in Mebane, it was called Dick and Jane's, and then they changed the name to D&J.
for that Instagram one? Oh.
Yeah, if this is something we had wanted to vote on tonight, it might be, ooh, I found one Instagram picture. Is this the one you guys had in mind?
Yeah.
You can at least kind of see, they have an upper
Is it
loft area that looks down towards the front door over the main bar area, and that gives you kind of a good view of the main front.
What is
room.
that Instagram?
That's, yeah, it is called Dick and Janes, D-I-C-K, the letter N, J-A-N-E-S, all one word. But the logo is D and J, but the actual Instagram name is D-I-C-K-N-J-A-N-E-S. I don't know them, I just know when I've been in there, they just seem to have really done a good job keeping at least the interior looking very traditional Art Deco.
Keeps coming up.
Oh, look, this is actually showing their renovations, look at this.
What,
They have a TikTok
uh,
that is showing like all these pictures, it's like a slideshow. It looks like they did most of the interior renovations. I'm not sure that the facade has changed that much, but the interior changed a lot.
yeah, I don't know how far I can get with this part.
They built the entire bar and all the furnishings and all the,
But the current tenants, I mean, it was
Now, they may have
renovated
had-
before the current tenants moved in.
well, let's see, the date on this is January 1st? And I'm trying to think if this is this year or last year.
So this probably would call for a little further
I
investigation.
think we need a little more research. Does that system have a way to plug a USB in? I could just put this up where everyone could see it.
Yeah,
Or I can help you find it. It's in their Instagram, but it's where they embedded a TikTok into their Instagram. But it does talk about and show how much they did in a 1-year time frame to get to build the whole bar and do all the interior
does everyone
renovations.
wanna just come over here and look?
Sure. Let's just pass this down now here. This is just scrolling you through a slideshow that's showing, they're saying this is what we did in a 1-year time frame. I'm not sure what the beginning of the slideshow is, but it does show the room pretty much gutted and then how they outfitted it. Especially where the bar is. Okay, so that's the facade. That's what it looks like now. I think this is where you can start to see how it was empty before. But again, you're correct that it looks like a big chunk of the work they did was interior rather than facades. Where they built the bar.
All right.
Anyway, that one just stood out in my mind as really Art Deco when I've been there. Like I said, I had not had time to research yet like if we're looking for a commercial to add to any residential we nominate, then at least that could be a relevant one. Provided that it makes sense to include interior as well as exterior.
I'm just looking up to see who the owner of that property is, too, so.
I think the
I believe
woman's
it's-
name who manages the restaurant, who's the GM of the restaurant and signed the lease. Because I was asking her when I was in there a couple months ago, do you like guys lease or do you own the building? And she said they leased, but that they had a lot more better relations with their landlord. That part of the reason they left Mebane and came here was because they thought the landlord would be so much better and the building was so much nicer. And they didn't want to put a lot of money into renovating a building in Mebane where they didn't really get along with the.
So the Mebane location is closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's become something else totally.
Yeah, she alluded to that landlord being very difficult. Whereas whoever her landlord is now, she loves it. And they were able to get a longer term lease, which made more sense to spend money on the space.
Do you want me to pull up any of the other sites too?
The Glencoe ones would be great to look at, whatever we can see.
Sure.
I'm not sure that the exterior of 2221 Maple Avenue lends itself to
Yeah, I would say that that was more interior.
interior.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that has changed hands too, as well, so.
Mhm.
It was just a creative use of a property,
Yeah.
you know, to go from bank to dental,
Mm-hmm.
successful dental business, but especially in an area that is struggling. Look at the next door neighbor.
Well, that's something to think about too. They're really trying to upgrade things along Maple Avenue. So it might be good to reward people who are trying to contribute to that.
So this is that property? And you said that you thought that this had been done several years ago?
I think it's been, yeah, 2 years, I think.
Is the original building historic, or does it need to be? It looks like a relatively new building, but maybe not.
No, we have had properties that have not been in a national registry or.
Like last year, the
in a
the
local
architect.
historic district.
But aren't they usually at least, like 30, 40 years old, like they're not brand new construction?
Yeah, I don't know that this is new construction.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I
What,
guess we need to get the,
The text of the award. might be
yes,
the-
yeah, the guidelines.
Yeah. So why don't we do that then? I can, for the next meeting, I can provide you with whatever I can find, even if it's more vagueness,
yeah,
going backwards in time. And then, we can, if anyone has pictures that they want to share or know the owners or tenants of any of the spaces, then we can have a more comprehensive discussion. But I would come prepared to, and even if we streamlined the couple that we have talked about, we can invite people, the owners or the tenants to come as well. So does that sound like a good plan?
Mhm. I'm looking at the Maple Avenue property. It looks like it was built in 1995, so I might wonder about just taking that off the
Yeah.
list of candidates.
And
and what was the 847 South Church again?
847 South Church is a residential. It's not, I don't think it's commercial.
Yeah, I don't know if it belongs to the auto dealership next door, because
It looks like this. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's very nicely.
Yeah, it's really well done. I've passed by it many times. Noticed that it's really.
So this must be the before,
This
yes,
would
it
be-
is, yes. So
Interesting.
you can see they really just, and the way they just, again, repointing the beautiful stonework and brickwork and, yeah.
The earliest picture that I can see on this, it looks a little unclear, but, so they've really enhanced it. So that's in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is current.
Yeah, a lot of difference in brick, and they've
The columns.
streamlined the landscaping and redone the columns.
Put in, well, they had the trim pieces, but they've done something to the front with the,
Yeah, they've definitely taken out a lot of that.
Upper windows, I think.
and the windows, definitely.
And took off the storm door. And again, the fact that it's not a designated, even though it's a very old property, not in a historic district, the fact that they did such a beautiful job.
Yeah, on Church Street, on a residence
Right,
on Church
Right,
Street.
right.
That was interesting.
Because a lot of those
Yeah, that one
properties are
seems like a
selling,
good candidate.
a lot of those properties are selling right now. They're being like flipped, I think, and they're putting on vinyl siding, you know, which of
Yeah.
course they have the right to do.
I can add this to the list to try to get more information
Yeah.
about how old the building is, and who the property owners are, so that can be, one that you can consider.
It doesn't look like vinyl siding from the pictures, but it's hard to tell until you know, walk right up to it.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
So that's the 847 South Church Street. Do you want to consider the one on Spring?
Oh, the D&Js.
The Art Deco?
Yeah.
I think it'd be worth at least having one that's clearly commercial in the nominee.
Okay.
It's just my thought.
And then the two others that are listed here, and I didn't receive any others, but there are two in Glencoe, 2411.
So these are actually part of the Glencoe Historic
Yes.
District, so they should be in compliance with
Oh, yeah.
all that.
One is, and I can tell you, I've been in this.
Oh, cool.
This was part of the Glencoe walking tour,
Mm-hmm.
and this renovation was done by Molly Whitlatch and her husband,
Yeah.
Jonathan. It was just recently completed, months ago, I think. But
Well, knowing them, I'm sure they did a great job on it.
yeah, it's been featured, and I just saw it in a magazine while I was waiting for an appointment, actually. So it's definitely something I think to consider. And then,
That's the first one on Glencoe?
yeah, and then 2473 is the second one. This is your colleague in pink home. So she can tell you more about what they've done. That's not them.
These are the previous owners. Well, I was explaining earlier that we're the second generation, so this was restored, purchased for $35,000 and restored 23 years ago. But it had fallen into a state of disrepair. It was advertised as fully restored, but it sat in a very hot market in 2021. It sat there for 10 months. And
Because it really needed more work. Yeah.
so we've done all the really not fun things like the drainage. It had a flooding crawl space. It had decaying. It had pest issues that were eating away at the floor joist. It had the back half of the addition was starting to separate from the main building, and rotted steps. Presidency asked immediately when we purchased it to please take down the handicap, the handrails, all of that, and then it's just received a new. We painted it ourselves in October, so it's been a labor of love. It's a lot of rotted wood. It's something you have to maintain them. Took down a lot of dead trees. Those trees on the right, again, a lot of landscaping issues. The trees on the right, we had to have the arborist come out. They were diseased. There were like 5 plum trees. So just a lot of neglect. But we're breathing new life into it. And
Looks like it has a garage in the back.
it does. It does. The garage was built about 20 years ago. And Presency asked that we paint it to match the house. It was stained. The other main issue with the house, is people aren't, if they're gonna paint it themselves, which the previous owners did, they painted a latex paint over stain. So what that left for us was tons, like a bad sunburn, a lot of peeling paint. The paint was just falling off the house. So that was months of
Did you
scraping.
have to strip it down to wood?
We had to get it back to the stain and get it all the loose off. And then we found a wonderful product I talked to Presency about. And it's a new product that Sherwin-Williams has put out called Super Deck. So you actually spray it on, it's actually decking, but it adheres to a variety of surfaces, and it dries to just a beautiful finish. So we've had no issues because we had to do the garage as well. The garage is not a historic building.
Yeah.
It's 23 years old, but yeah, just rotted steps. I just put in a COA because I'm never sure. I always err on the side of, and emailed Presency and Jamie. So the side port, the south-facing courtyard, you would walk down the steps and hold your breath, but you wouldn't crash through. So now they've all been replaced. So little by little, we're pretty much there. We have a few window panes to finish glazing, and it's good for another 20 years. Well, hopefully we'll continue to, maintain it. They require a lot of, it's not like you're just done. It just requires
You're never
constant.
done?
No, constant maintenance. Especially these mill houses tend to breathe. They expand and contract a lot. So there's just a lot of movement with the seasons in these houses. So anyway, but that's not a very pretty picture. It doesn't look like that anymore. So
I would advocate for keeping it on the list of candidates.
Okay, so the 2 Glencoe properties, the one on Church Street and the Spring Street. Okay.
How many total do we usually award?
I have seen typically 3.
2 or 3.
So, I mean, it's always good to have one city.
Does the city have a web page that lists the awardees year by year?
No, it's a good idea to create one for recognition.
Would it probably wouldn't be a lot to build that kind of page, would that? be
No.
something
Just
that's
going through the minutes or whatever.
Commission's website?
We could easily do that.
I incentivize people to start restoring.
Yeah.
That might incentivize people to apply for those exterior grants,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea, something that we can put together. Yep. And then it also can provide more description of what the award is and the importance of it.
What the criteria are.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when we were looking at our house at 622 West Davis, it had the Mine Tree Pine thing already on there, and that, it helps with real estate, marketing it, encouraging people to keep it,
Yep.
keep its historic features authentic.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll have them ready for the next meeting, which will be on May 14th, and then they can go to city council subsequent to that.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, next item?
The local government grant application.
Yes, so on an annual basis, we receive the applications to apply for the CLG grants. This year, we have the one that we're doing the ongoing education for. And we're in the midst of that. Bree will give you an update in a little bit on where we are with the historic seminars. I think I included in the packet, included in the packet on, let's see what page this is, the list of kind of the different types of projects that are eligible, starting on page 25. So, you know, we might be, kind of full disclosure, being understaffed, we may not be in a great position to apply this year because we're pretty close to deadline to do that, and our hands are tied pretty tightly with the current application, and getting that underway and making sure that we're meeting everything that we need to meet. But we've had some interesting conversations regarding potential projects for the future. So I just wanted to kind of bring that, you know, in front of you for discussion. There are different types of things besides education and training that you can apply for, being a CLG recipient. We've already received grants for our design standards and for architectural surveys. Some of the things that could be considered in speaking with Michelle McCabe at the state would be for the areas that have been studied in the past that may be eligible for national registry, to see if those neighborhoods would want to complete that recognition. And, you know, to me that would involve a lot of outreach and insurance that they are comfortable with that. It would not put them in the position where they would be subject to having to adhere to the local historic design standards, but it may be helpful because then they could potentially apply for tax credits for rehabilitation, which would be a benefit. So that's one thing to consider for the future. Other things that have been tossed around, there's some monies that may be available for different museums, historic museums, if the buildings needed repair in different ways. It's not a significant amount of monies, but anything can help, right? And then some other ideas that have been tossed around have been looking at some of the underserved communities and seeing how those areas could be engaged in this historic preservation process, whether it's looking at particular sites or areas. One of the things that, in speaking with Lynn Cowan recently, she had mentioned that there's a possibility of a greenhouse, a house that was in the Green Book, rather, potentially still being in the city. So that might be something to consider, a study to evaluate the potential of something like that. I'm sure that there's other examples too. You know, Rawhut was at one point kind of the thriving business district for different communities when everyone got pushed out of the downtown, formal downtown. So just different things for you to think about and consider and talk to others, and any other ideas that you might have as well. But I think for this particular coming year, it's probably stretched for us to be able to get something in that we feel comfortable with presenting to City Council. So that's really all I wanted to add about that topic.
Any thoughts on any of that?
I wondered if we could tie it to the training videos that we saw, you know, the last time, and talking about what are some ways to tie economic development, historic preservation, and underserved communities kind of together. And maybe that whole East Burlington area where, you know, Rainey Street and that whole area around there, kind of in between in between here and where that big industrial site is that they're having so much trouble figuring out what to do with the munitions manufacturing. What was that?
Western Electric.
Yeah, the Western Electric site. Seems like there's a lot of historic neighborhoods between here and there that aren't, you know, that may not be designated as historic, but that could benefit from rehabbing and could really help economic development to be able to provide. And I don't know how that starts. Does that usually start with doing an inventory of what's there, or does it usually?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to steal Bree's thunder, but during the seminar in May, we'll have a lot of opportunity to talk about the ties to economic development and historic preservation. I think that there's definitely ways to better educate the residents and property owners and, you know, landlords of properties on different avenues. But the first thing would be to have a architectural survey done of an area to determine whether or not it would meet the criteria.
Since the architectural survey is so expensive, would you want community buy-in first? Would that be,
I would think, I mean, typically there is a request to have the area studied, and without buy-in from percentage of the neighborhood or the property owners, it's may not be worthwhile. It's hard because in some of those neighborhoods, there is not strong property owner occupancy,
yes.
and there's becoming more and more increasing, you know, LLCs or business entities that are purchasing properties. So there's even less of an incentive to yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
I think this would be more of a council issue than a Historic Preservation Commission issue, but haven't some, you guys might know more about this than I would, haven't Durham and some other towns and cities offered grandfather clauses, so to speak, for people that have owned a property for a number of years or generations, where they can get a break on property tax or have other incentives to not sell off to an LLC or not?
I am not aware of
You know, just
that
try to
at
balance
all.
out
I don't-
gentrification to encourage renovation and upgrading while at the same time making it affordable for the traditional families who've lived there for generations to stay there.
Yeah, I can say that, you know, the things that we have to offer would be more in line with federal grants and monies that come from
Tax credits.
the CDBG grant allocations. But I'm not aware of any programs to provide tax credits for long-term residents or other mechanisms to maintain their ownership in properties. Typically, we don't get involved in transfer of land.
Right.
So it's a difficult situation.
It's also difficult too, because people have a preconceived notion when they hear historic preservation. You know, they think the common hysterical commission, and you know, so teaching, you know, having some seminars where you can give some of the, hey, these are the advantages. This is money you can get back on your restoration expenses. So yeah, but I you know, when they're not owner occupied, it's difficult. I can see that.
I don't know if there could be any coordination with the economic development people. I think there's like a community development block grant or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Might
what I was
cover,
referring to.
You know, some of those neighborhoods
Yeah.
that they might be able to tie into. I don't know if there's any way to tie that together with historic or not, but to your point,
Yeah.
make it advantageous.
So those are different things to think about, and, you know, I'm sure that as time passes, you may even have other ideas too. Like I said, it just depends on the eligibility and what exactly you're looking to, for the city to apply for. It can go up to $25,000, but a lot of the grants are smaller allocations depending upon the type of the project. So that is that topic. Also included in the packet are the minor COAs that are just go through our administrative process. And if you'd like, I'll just continue on the agenda. Just a regular reminder, if you haven't provided us with your summary of the videos that we watched, make sure to do that so we can all get credit for it. And Bree, I'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, so for the upcoming historic seminar on May 11th, we wrapped up the majority of the planning and the work, so y'all should have all gotten the email with the link to sign up. If y'all are planning to attend, go ahead and sign up as soon as possible. We will be closing that sign up a week ahead of time. That's not Burlington Beer Works that requested that, but we're just doing that so that we know and they know kind of what we're all expecting, because depending on how many people come will be how the room is set up. Currently, we have 34 people signed up, including the speakers, and I think Jamie and myself, which we still have to be allocated within that. So we have 40 spots left, and that's with doing 70 to 75 seats. And so we nailed down the lunch, snack options, and everything with Burlington Beer Works. So just share the flyer I sent you guys in the email, can be printed off and shared. There also was a Instagram, I believe, shared, and then there was also a media release about the event. And so just make sure you share, tell people to sign up. It's a free event, so all you have to do is show up. The event starts at 9 to not be quite so early, and then it'll end around 3 to 4, just depending on our panel and how long that goes.
And that's gonna be mainly upstairs, and that upstairs?
Yeah, it'll be in the entire second floor, and then we'll also have access to the rooftop area throughout the day, so that if someone, like, we'll have breaks throughout it. So if someone wants to go take a break up on the roof or downstairs, they're allowed to do so, but we'll have that whole second floor set up, most likely with round tables or rectangle tables, so that if breakouts happen or as people are sitting there talking, they can discuss amongst each other what they're learning.
Do our going to those actually help with our training? Does it count as part of the training
It doesn't
requirement?
necessarily count as our training because we're putting on the
Yeah.
program, but it will be advertised if it hasn't already been advertised by the State Historic Preservation Office. So other historic, it's open to the public. So
Yeah.
anyone who's on a historic preservation commission could attend and get credits as well.
Yeah. And maybe we can promote to folks already on to or teaching.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are free to post it anywhere. Like I said, this, as long as it's not before, I think it's May 1st or 4th is the date that the registration ends, but however, that's kind of more for just if people just see it randomly. If you know of somebody who wants to attend closer to the meeting day, like I said, that's like about a week ahead of time. That's like the Friday of the week before. So if over the weekend you're like, hey, I was talking to this person, they want to attend, we can easily add them. No issue, most likely. It's just so that we have because we'll probably pad the numbers. Like if we only have 35 people coming, we'll probably say, like, hey, go ahead and do for 40. That way there's just, absolutely enough for everybody.
Can we come and then leave when we want
Yes.
to, not stay for the whole thing?
Yeah, if you want to come just for the first, speaker for Donovan, or if you want to come later in the day just for James and the later ones, you are more than allowed to do so. Just pop in whatever. You still just need to register, and it'll just be a registration for the whole day.
It's really exciting. We're very, very excited about it, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback from the state on the speakers that we've picked. A lot of interest in hearing from them. So it's a good event, and we're looking to continue that. We'll have a couple other events planned as the year goes on as well.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Sounds great.
Great job.
I have a question. Will this be our news starting time, 7:30? Is it, okay, it was just
for tonight.
just tonight, okay.
Yeah, I had meetings, I just threw away, I could get here before then.
No worries.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was just for tonight. And also, y'all will probably see, I have to resend out the requests because they were originally sent out through the municipal conference room where we were meeting. And so anytime I update it, it says that the municipal conference room is sending it, not me. So I'm gonna have to change all of that tomorrow. So when you see those come through, it's just me fixing everything.
Great.
We will be meeting in this location.
Yes, we'll be meeting up here, and,
Yeah.
but it's a municipal conference room. It's like they're sending you an email, but it's a room, it's not a person. So just in case there's any confusion, it will be up here moving forward.
So it's 7, but up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were no major certificate COA applications?
No.
Okay.
No,
There are a good number of minor ones this month.
they're coming in. They're coming in, and we have a lot of conversations with folks doing projects. So people are communicating, asking questions. A lot of the projects are falling under the minor COAs and also administrative reviews. So it's good to see that the standards are accounting for that.
Has anyone happened to hear anything about whether they were gonna auction off that house that burned on David?
The sign
The
is
one on the corner?
been removed. Do we know?
One near 5th and Davis.
It's listed as pending online, so I think,
So, yeah, okay, well, hopefully then you'll start getting applications for work on that.
Yeah.
Once that closes.
Mhm.
Needs a lot of work. I think those are gonna be major COAs. No,
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.